So in this video, I'm going to show you how can you create this beautiful side navigation bar, or you can call it tree view or nested accordion. So we'll build this beautiful UI design with the help of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And at the end of this video, I'll give you some tips and tricks that will be all about how can you achieve the same features with the help of pure HTML. Without further ado, let's start. Hello and namaste everyone, this is Jitsaru with Coding Design. Welcome to our channel. If you are new here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's create index.html file. Inside that, if I type exclamation sign and hit that tab button, then you'll get this HTML5 boilerplate. For the title, let's give tree view using JavaScript, or you can call it nested accordion, and it's a UI design, so I'm giving UI design. Now inside the body tag, let's create another list with list item, and inside that I'm creating span tag with class name folder. Inside that I'm writing folder. Next to that, let's create another list with class name nested, and within that I'm creating list item with class name file HTML, and I'm writing index.html. Let's duplicate the same code, and instead of that index, let's give services.html, and also let's select this code and let's duplicate it. Okay, let me show you what's really going on. First of all, we are creating another list, and within that we are creating different list items, and you can see within that list item we are creating span tag, and next to that again we are creating another list, and within that another list we are creating different list items. Now with the help of live server extension, let's open this index.html file in our default browser. Okay, this is what you get in your browser. Now let's create a style.css file, and next to that title tag, let's give the link for our style.css file. Now within style.css file, in order to prevent browser's default margin and padding, for the universal selector I'm giving margin and padding 0. And also for the box sizing I'm giving border box. And I think I have to change that font family as well. So for the font family I'm giving sans serif. Now let's style our body tag. For the body, let's give the minimum height of 100 VH. And for the background color, let's give this dark green color. And let's give display flex. If I give justify content to center, you can see the content within your browser, it is brought horizontally center, and if I give align items to center, it will bring your content vertically center. Okay, so this is all done with the help of flexbox. Now let's style this on other lists. So for the UL, let's give color. For the text color, I'm giving this gray color. Now let's remove that bullet points. Okay, so for that, if I give list style type to none, now we'll be able to remove that bullet points. Let's style that span tag with class name folder. So for the folder, let's give text transform to capitalize. The text that is within our span tag, the first letter of that text, that will start with capital letter. I think for the second another list, I have to change that span tag's text. I'm changing it to CSS, and also let's change all those files names as well. I'm giving style.css. Let's duplicate the same code and let's remove that code, and also let's give style.min.css. Okay, now this is perfect, and I'm giving cursor to pointer so that when you take your mouse near to that span tag, you will get that pointing hand icon that would represent that you can click that text. Okay, now let's style the list item that is within our another list with class name nested. So for that list item, I'm giving padding left of 3 rem. Now you can see there is proper space between the parent and the children. That is not exactly parent, but it is supposed to be parent. Okay, so for that span with class name folder, I think I have to give much more brighter color. So for that, I'm giving light gray color. Now you can see folders, they are brighter, and files within that folder, they are a bit darker in color. And also let's give a bit big font size. This is the shorthand property, but instead of this, you could write font size to 1.3 rem. Now let's copy the same code and paste it down there. Now for the span with class name folder, let's give before pseudo element. As you know, span it is an inline element. So in order to give proper width and height, I am giving display to inline block. Similarly, as you know, we are using before pseudo element. So this content property, it is compulsory. Otherwise, you won't be able to create that before pseudo element. So for the content, I am giving Unicode character. So with the help of this Unicode character, I want to give different icons. But if you want to use different third-party libraries for using different icons, you can do that. For now, it's not that necessary. So now if I visit this website Unicode character table, by the way, website's link will be given in the description below. You can check out. So I want to use this Unicode character. So if you hover that character, you can see we can just copy, and within that code you can paste it there. You can also use different Unicode numbers. So in order to use that, you can copy the numbers after that U plus. So before pasting that number, you have to use backward slash and paste it there. Then you'll be able to get the same icon, that is the folder icon. If you want to get much more detailed information about that Unicode character, you can click it and you can see we are getting different information about that Unicode character, something like number, HTML code, CSS code. If you look at the CSS code, just a little moment ago, I have already shown you that technique that you can use this Unicode character. But instead of that Unicode number, I'll be using Unicode character. Now you can see you are getting that folder icon, and this is pretty cool. I want to give a little bit of space between that icon and the text. So for the before pseudo element, I'm giving margin right of 0.4 rem. Similarly for the font, okay, once again I am using that shorthand property, but instead of this, it is better to use font size. For the font size, you could give 1.8 rem. Now you can see that icon is bigger in size. So as I have already told you that this is just a character, okay, so all the CSS property that you give for the text, you can give the same property for this Unicode character as well. Okay, now we have to style this list element with different classes, and also I think I have to change that class name file HTML to file CSS. The reason for giving different class name for all those different lists, it's because I want to add extra different icons for all those files as well. So for that, once again, let's duplicate this code and let's take it down. Now let's take that content to down. I don't want to repeat the same code again and again. So for all these pseudo elements, I want to share this same CSS code. So for that, you could use comma, and I can give something like list element with class name file HTML, and again I'm using comma. Again, let's give another list with class name file CSS. I forgot to give the before pseudo element for class file HTML and file CSS. Now you can copy the same code and paste it down there. Let's duplicate the same content code and let's take it down there, and now we'll change that content. Okay, so once again we are visiting the same website, and for the HTML file icon, I want to give this icon. So now you can press that copy button and just paste it there. And also let's select this code and duplicate it. Now let's give the different content for our class file CSS. So for the content, once again I want to give this icon. Okay, so again I'm copying the Unicode character and let's paste it there. So in the browser, did you see that? This is exactly what I want. Once again, let's create another list element. You can copy this whole code and paste it down there. For the folder name, let's give images, and for the different list items, I'm giving different class name. We are nesting, different folder within that folder, and there are different files. So now it's time to give different icon for that file name images. So as you can see, I have already given list with class name image. So for the class image, you can duplicate the same code. And now instead of that class file HTML, you can give class image. So again, we are giving the same before pseudo element, and you can duplicate the same code. And for the class image, we can give different content. Now for the image, I want to give this icon. Okay, so this one, let's copy and paste it there. In the browser, you can see now we are getting different icons for images files. I want to give the same color for the folders and different color for different files. So for the folder, I want to give this lime green color. For the HTML file, let's give this yellow color. For the class CSS file, let's give the color deep sky blue color. For the images file, I want to give color of magenta. So now in the browser, you can see, isn't it beautiful? So what do you think? Let me know in the comment box. For now, it's not enough. It can be better. I want to style the different UL element with class name nested. So for the class nested, let's give the before pseudo element. let's give the content. So for the content, now we are not giving anything, so let's give empty string. For the width, I'm giving 1.5 rem. For the height, I'm giving 1 rem. For the border left, so this is what you call the Emmet abbreviation. So if I type BL and hit tab button, you will get the same code. And by the way, I have already created a separate video on that Emmet abbreviation. Now for the border width, I'm giving 1.3 pixel. For the border style solid, and for the border color, let's give the same lime green color. And also let's give position of absolute. So now I have to give position relative for its parent. So let's duplicate the same code and let's remove that before pseudo element. Now for the UL element with class name nested, let's give the position of relative. And for that before pseudo element, let's give left. For the left, I'm giving 7.2%. So now you can see small line, so that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so if I give 100% for that height, did you see that? So this was all about vertical lines that shows the different connections between the folders. Now I want to create horizontal line that will show the connection between our files and folders. So for that, you can select hold this code and let's paste it down there. Instead of that, for class nested, I want to give before pseudo element for list elements that is within our UL element with class name nested. Okay, but as you can see, we have already created before pseudo elements. So with the help of that before pseudo element, we were creating different icons for different files. So instead of that before, let's give after pseudo element. And now instead of that border left, let's give the border bottom. Now you can see that horizontal lines, but they are not in proper position. So for that, I can do something like for the list elements that is within our UL element with class name nested, I can give position of relative. And in your browser, as you can see, our horizontal lines, they are almost in proper position, but this is not the position that I want. So for the after pseudo element, let's change that left value to 7.5%. And for the height, I want to give 1 rem. And in your browser, if you have noticed carefully, that horizontal line, again, they are not in the proper position. So for that after pseudo element, let's give the top. For the top, I'm giving 0.32 rem. So now I think this is okay for me. Once again, let's copy and paste this code. Now for the span with class name folder, when you hover, I want to change its text color to crimson. So now in the browser, when you take your mouse near to that folder, okay, we are getting that crimson color, but that color is not reflected on that icons as well. So for that, once again, let's duplicate the same code and let's use the comma. So as you can see, the folder icon that I have given, that was given with the help of before pseudo element. So we need to give that separate code for that before pseudo element. Okay, so now within the same line next to that hover, let's give before pseudo element. Let's remove that comma, and in the browser, you can see when you take your mouse near to that folder's text as well as the icons color change into crimson color. So what I want to do is that now when you hover the folder, I want to change first children's text color. You can give there plus, that means the when you hover that span tag with class name folder, exactly next to that UL element with class name nested, within that UL element with class name nested, where you have different list items, I'm giving the greater than symbol so that I can change the text color of this first list items. So now you can see when you hover that folder, first list elements color change into crimson color. And by the way, if you don't want to get this kind of effect, like it's not that necessary, now I want to give the same crimson color for all these vertical as well as the horizontal lines. I mean, when you hover, I want to give that. Okay, so for that, once again, let's duplicate the same code, and for that ally element, you can give the after pseudo element. Just down there, did you see that? For after pseudo element, we have given the border bottom, and for the color, we have given lime green color. So now what you can do is that we can give different border color. So I'm giving border color of same crimson color. So now when you hover, did you see that? You're getting crimson color horizontal line. Now it's time to give the same color for vertical lines as well. So for that, as you can see, for the class nested, we have given the before pseudo element. Let's copy this whole code, and for that before pseudo element, we have given the border left, and for the color, we have given lime green color. So now we have to change that. Once again, let's use comma and duplicate this code, and now you can paste that same code that we have copied. Now we don't need that comma. Let's remove that, and once again in the browser, did you see that? when you hover, okay, we are getting that crimson color with vertical line, but you have noticed we are unable to change that vertical lines of another folders that is within our folder. Okay, so let's check out the index.html file. You can see we have UL element with class name nested, and within that UL element again we have the UL element with class name nested. Okay, so we do have the same elements with same class name and they are nested. Let's duplicate this code. Now what you can do is that you can write something like UL with class name nested, and as you know within that class nested we do have another UL element with class name nested, so you can give the same thing. Okay, and let's remove that hello element. So instead of that we'll give before pseudo element for that UL with class name nested. So now you can see when you hover the parent you will be able to see all the connection is clearly visible with the help of that horizontal and vertical lines. Isn't that cool? So what do you think about this effect? So now you can see everything's working fine, but when you hover there is change in color but there is no any smooth transition. So you can do something like for the UL with class name nested you can give transition. For the transition duration I'm giving 0.4 second. For the timing function let's give ease in out, and also I want to give the transition for the list element that is within our UL element with class name nested. So for the transition duration I'm giving 0.2 second. For the timing function let's give the same ease in out, and now let's copy the same transition code, and for all those before pseudo elements I want to give the same transition, so let's paste it down there. And also I think I have to give the same transition code for after pseudo elements as well. So in the browser you can see when you hover we can see that smooth transition. Once again in the index.html file let's create some more different folder with different file names. For that I have already prepared this code. Nothing much more is going on. It's just that I have changed different class name, so that is only the difference. So let's copy this whole code and paste it there. So for that let's give different icon for class key and chart. So before that in your browser we are creating different new folders with different new file names. I think I have to copy this code and paste it there. Once again you can use comma, and now instead of that class image let's give class chart. Let's duplicate the same code, and now instead of that chart you can give their class name key. You can select this code and duplicate it. Now instead of that class file HTML let's give class name of key, and for the content instead of that icon I want to give key icon. So you can copy this icon, this is the character, so you can copy and paste it there. So you can see we are getting that key icon, but I want to rotate that. So for that I want to give transform. Let's give rotate. For the rotate I'm giving 90 degree, and also let's give scale X. Let's give -1. I think I have to change that to rotation. Instead of that 90 degree let's give 30 degree. This is exactly what I want. Similarly once again let's select this code and duplicate it. Now instead of that class file CSS let's give class chart, and for the class chart let's change that content. For the chart I want to give this Unicode character. Let's copy this and paste it there. So let's take our browser to the full screen by pressing F11 key. So finally you can see this is what you get in your browser, and I think it's looking pretty cool. What do you think? I know I have spent lots of time for our HTML and CSS code. Now finally it's time to give some animations, and that animation I want to give with the help of JavaScript code. So now what I want to do is that when you click specific folder name I want to show and hide folders and the file that is within that folder. There's very few lines of JavaScript code, so I want to use the internal JavaScript code. So just above the end of body tag let's create a script tag, and within that script tag let's create constant variable folders, and I'm assigning document.query selector all. So remember I'm using their query selector all. So with the help of that query selector all I want to select all the span tag with class name folder. So let's give their class folder. Now we need to iterate all those span with class name folder. So for that I'm using for of loop. So now what you can do is that you can use for const folder of folders, and within that I'm writing again folder dot. So we are giving the event handler, so I'm writing dot on click. So now when you click any specific folder at the time within that arrow function, before doing anything let's check whether we are clicking that specific folder or not. So for that let's give console.log folder dot next element sibling. So now with the help of that, when you click that span tag with class name folder, we'll be able to get other UL element with class name nested. So let's check out in our console. For that, in your browser, if you press F12 key and if you go to the console tab, and if I click any folder, did you see that we are getting the exact next UL element with class name nested that was next to that span tag with class name folder. This is exactly what we want. So now you can see we are getting the exact folder that we have clicked. So as I have already told you that when you click that folder, I want to show and hide the content that is within our folder. So for that, initially for UL element with class name nested, you can give maximum height of 0. And you can see everything is messed up, content they are overflowing. Now in order to prevent that, you can give overflow to hidden. In your browser, you can see you'll be able to get first parent element. So now when you click that span tag with class name folder, we want to change that maximum height. So for that, instead of console.log, let's store this code inside our constant variable target list. And now for the target list, you can give CSS code. You can write something like .style.max height. So for the maximum height, let's copy the whole code and paste it there. And I'm using the ternary operator. You can give the question mark. So if we have give any height for that UL element with class name nested, at the time we'll give null. But if you have give maximum height of 0, or if there is no any height at that time for the UL element with class name nested, we'll give the maximum height within the string. I'm giving there 100 VH. That means we are giving 100% of our viewport's height. So in the browser, did you see that when you click that specific folder, you will be able to get all the contents that is within that folder, and all these animation they are working for all our folders. Although our animation is like pretty cool, but I want to give some extra effect. So now whenever you are opening your folder, at the time I want to change that folders icon. I want to give something like open folder icon. So for that, first of all, let's give some extra code. So now when you click that specific folder, at the time I can write something like folder.classlist.toggle. Now with the help of this toggle method, you will be able to add and remove the class active for our span with class name folder. But as you can see, I haven't given any class active for that span tag. So in our installer.css file, let's search that class folder. Okay, as you can see, the folder icon that we have given for our class folder, that was with the help of before pseudo element. So now what you can do is that you can duplicate the same code and take it down there. After that class folder, you can give their class active, so there won't be any space. Okay, so now when you are giving class active for that span with class name folder, at that time for the before pseudo element, we'll change that content. So let's duplicate the same code and let's bring it down there, and we'll change that content. Instead of closing folder, we'll give this opening folder icon. Now you can copy the same Unicode character and paste it there. So once again in our browser, so now when you are opening your folder, you'll get that opening folder icon. And when you are closing, at that time you will get that close folder icon. Once again, I want to show you something. In your installer.css file, for the UL element with class name nested, I have given their transition. So what if I comment out that code? So in your browser, you can see you won't be able to get that smooth transition. If you want to give the same effect without any smooth transition, you don't need to use that JavaScript code. So there is some tricks. Okay, let me show you. So what you can do is that instead of that JavaScript code, with the help of pure HTML, you can achieve the same thing. But with the help of this trick, you won't be able to get that smooth transition. You can use details tag with summary. So with the help of this code, you will be able to achieve same thing. So let me show you. Within our details tag, first of all, let's give summary, and within that I'm giving HTML tricks. In your browser, did you see that? You will be able to get some symbols with that text, and next to that summary, if I give the paragraph tag, and let's give some dummy text. And in our installer.css file for details, I'm giving width of 30 rem. For the color, let's give this light gray color, and for the paragraph tag that is within our details tag, let's keep adding top and bottom 2.4 rem. For the left and right 2 rem. Once again in the browser, did you see that? Now whenever you are clicking that summary tag, you will be able to show and hide that paragraph tag. You can see you will get the same effect that we want, but you won't be able to get that smooth transition. So I do hope this video was helpful. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did learn something, smash that like button. If you have any kind of queries, let me know in the comment box. Share this video if you think someone needs it. And also, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell icon. Remember, there is always more to learn, so keep learning.